Hey everybody, Gary at Basecamp Trading. Let's take a look at signals we had off the 30-minute charts today. As most of you know, I use the 30-minute chart as my anchor chart. I use it for directional bias, and I'm constantly monitoring the 30-minute chart for signals to drill down into our shorter time frame charts to get lower risk entries. And here there are several good examples today. You can see this is the ES 30-minute chart today. And you can see we had this power line right here that went all the way back to the middle of the night. And that was at 32.11 and a half. And you can see that 30-minute chart had really been pretty choppy, but with a slight bullish bias. I mean, the 5 and the 13 crossed to the upside and was basically in a buy phase throughout pretty much the whole night and most of the morning and into the afternoon session. And we were just waiting, paying attention to what 30-minute chart was giving us. And then right here, we finally broke above this long-term resistance. This resistance had been hit numerous times, again, going all the way back to the middle of the night last night, right there. We put in that high at 32.11 and a half. Pull back off of that, 5 and 13 crossed back to the upside, and then just stayed bullish pretty much the entire morning. A little pullback right in here, but 5 and 13 never crossed to the downside. Stayed above the 50 EMA, and went up here and hit this 32.11 and a half several times. You can see we hit that line there and there and there, and then we've been waiting all morning and part of the afternoon for the breakout, and we finally broke out, pushed higher. That initial push was because that breakout was at 32.11 and a half, and the high on that was 16 and a half. So that initial push was good for $200 per contract. Then we continued to push higher, consolidated, set up the 30-minute bull flag, and then a nice push into the close. Went up there, hit our targets. You can see right there at the end of the day, we hit significantly overvalued. But this bull flag triggered at 32.18 and a quarter, and we ran all the way up to 32.31. So another 13 or $650 per contract off of the 30-minute bull flag. So some really solid signals off of our 30-minute chart. Again, we take this chart, we drill down into our smaller time frame charts to manage our trades and get some lower risk entries. We had the same thing in Crude today. Crude, you can see actually during the London session, Crude 5 and 13 crossed to the downside and Crude went bearish. We broke underneath the 50 EMA. We hit the U.S. session right in here. We had this continuation doji that triggered to the downside. 5 and 13 were already obviously in a sell. We came up, did last kiss off the 50 EMA, and then Crude made a really nice push down, hit significantly undervalued on our value charts, consolidated, set up the bear flag, and then another nice strong push down. I mean, that bear flag triggered underneath 38.73, and that pushed all the way down to 38.03. Probably didn't pick the bottom. I mean, potentially 70 ticks there. Probably didn't pick the bottom. Did definitely grab 55 ticks out of that push to the downside. Got extended. We'd made a big move from the overnight. We pushed more than $2 down in the overnight, and Crude just kind of consolidated the rest of the day. But again, some really nice signals based off the 30-minute chart, gave us our short time frame entries, and gave us some nice profits to the downside in Crude. Gold, you can see in gold, 5 and 13 crossed to the upside, had this nice push up, then a pretty strong pullback, actually broke back underneath the 50 EMA, but as is often the case, that 50 EMA is a very sticky line. price does not like to go under and stay under, or if it's underneath it, it doesn't like to go above and stay above. This really is a significant line right here. Sure enough, we broke out above it, pulled back to it, actually broke underneath it, but then ended up closing back above it. Had this continuation doji right here to the upside. 5 and 13 are in a buy mode. Now the 50 and the 200 are out of alignment here, but the 5 and the 13 are really the big number for me, and you can see that we were staying above the 50 EMA. And then it was just a nice bullish push to the upside really the rest of the day. Pushed higher, consolidated, triggered another bull flag, and gold stayed bullish most of the afternoon, went up, hit our targets that we had on the upside in gold. So you can see that the 30-minute chart, we get good signals off this 30-minute chart. It keeps us on the right side of the market, gives us good direction, and allows us to make some really profitable trades.